The Kansas City Chiefs at this point have cemented themselves as a dynasty in the NFL. And even if they don't win another Super Bowl and they lose to San Francisco, this still is a dynasty. But it's about to slow down regardless of what transpires in Super Bowl 58, because Kansas City now has competition in their division. You see, when the Patriots were dominating the NFL for all these decades under Tom Brady and the Bill Belichick era, it was because they had the luxury of playing in the easiest division in the NFL during those 2 decades. The Dolphins, Bills, and the New York Jets all were a joke when the Patriots dynasty was at its peak. There were only 2 seasons that the New York Jets actually were relevant, and after that, they went back to being in the pit of despair. But now you look at the AFC West, you got Sean Payton in there. We don't know who he's going to get as his quarterback, but he's a really good offensive-minded coach. He's one of the greatest offensive minds in the history of the sport. He could be somebody who potentially could halt the growth of Kansas City's dynasty. But really, you got to look at who the Chargers just hired as their new head coach in Jim Harbaugh, who really is going to throw a fork in the road for Kansas City in terms of them being able to keep their dynasty continuing and them making it to the Super Bowl every single year. And Jim Harbaugh, bringing him back to the NFL is one of those earthquake moves. It's one of those moves that everybody in the NFL, player, coach, front office executive goes and they kind of have a little bit of a surprised look on their face because they say, uh-oh, they're serious about winning now. It's one of those moves that motivates you to step your game up. But Jim Harbaugh, he's going to win. And before any Chiefs fan in the comments fan says, man, you don't know what Jim Harbaugh is going to win. He's going to win. You want to know how I know Jim Harbaugh is going to win? Because he's proven that he's able to win anywhere he's at. He was winning at San Diego State, Stanford, led the 49ers to 3 straight NFC championships and the Super Bowl in his first 3 seasons. He led Michigan to a national championship, 3 straight Big Ten titles. Jim Harbaugh is a winner. That's all he knows is winning. And when you have a coach this good, he's no Andy Reid, but he definitely is an elite head coach. He may not be an elite NFL coach, but he's just an elite football coach in general because he knows how to have success. He knows how to change a franchise. And it's not going to take that long to get this thing up off the ground. The Chargers are a Super Bowl contender as soon as the Super Bowl concludes and we start focusing on next season, because when you have a coach this good as Jim Harbaugh and you give him a quarterback as good as what Justin Herbert is, you got the potential to become something special. And the only thing that has hindered Justin Herbert's development and being able to have success is the fact that he hasn't had a head coach as good as what Jim Harbaugh is. Jim Harbaugh is maybe the best head coach that the Chargers have ever hired in their franchise history. Even when they were back in San Diego. If you're Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, you definitely look at this Jim Harbaugh hiring and you say, okay, we need to step our game up. Jim Harbaugh is going to get to a couple of Super Bowls. And he's going to knock Kansas City out the way en route to doing that. I have a 5 out of 5 confidence level that Jim Harbaugh is going to at least reach 2 Super Bowls as the head coach of the LA Chargers. And it doesn't matter if Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are in this division. Say what you want to. Jim Harbaugh, he may not be as good as what Andy Reid is, but he's definitely in that heavyweight class. He's definitely in discussion for one of the best coaches in the National Football League just because of what he did the last time he was in the league. It doesn't matter that he's been out of the league for a decade. He's a great coach. He knows how to win. His methods of building a winning franchise works on any level, rather it be pro, collegiate, high school, middle school. This is an all-around great coach. And when you have a head coach this special, with the quarterback this special, and with the talent that the Chargers currently have right now, there's no reason why the Chargers aren't going to be able to win the AFC West and dethrone Kansas City en route to doing that. The reason why they've run this division is because the coaching has always been terrible. The Broncos have been through numerous quarterbacks and numerous head coaches ever since Peyton Manning retired and won that last Super Bowl back in 2015. They've been looking for answers ever since. Same thing with the LA Chargers. Like, the LA Chargers haven't had a good head coach in decades. And you think about the Raiders, like, the Raiders, we don't even need to talk about them right now, because when have they ever been a factor? And they still aren't a factor, because we all like Antonio Pierce, but he's unproven. He's the most unproven coach in this division. You talk about coaches who are positioned to fail. Antonio Pierce is in prime position to get fired, just based on the talent that is in this division alone from coaching. And Jim Harbaugh, with how much of a program builder he is, how good he is at turning around franchises and making them a powerhouse, he's going to do the same thing with the Chargers. And the Chargers are going to be knocking at Kansas City's doorstep for the throne in the AFC. And they got the quarterback to do so. They now have the coach to do so too. With them having an improved defense, them having a coach that's going to make better decisions in game, not stupid gambles on fourth down, Jim Harbaugh thrives in big time games. And this reminds me a lot like how the 49ers Seattle Seahawks rivalry was. You had two teams who were good enough to make it to the Super Bowl nearly every single season during that time. And whoever won that game when they matched off against each other in the playoffs most likely was going to win it all, you would think. You know, like Andy Reid and Kansas City, I think they're in a lot of trouble. And especially if Andy Reid retires, like how some people are saying, but even if he comes back, they still are going to have some competition. Like, I don't think they're just about to run over everybody else in this division like they have done under Andy Reid for well over a decade. Like, this has been the division every single season, damn near. But I think that a lot of things are about to change with Jim Harbaugh getting hired as the Chargers' next head coach.